Explain how a black hole sun and a black rock can exist simultaneously. How can there be a hole and a mountain in the same spot? It's a great question, bro. I'm glad you brought that up. I was wanting to cover this anyway, so we're going to jump right into it. Okay. Cosmic Familia, before we jump into the video, I just want to thank everybody for being here. I hope everyone is in good health and good spirit. Please don't forget to like, comment on the video to move the algorithm around, and share this with someone who's interested in the case. So, but what we need to understand is that the black sun is not really like a sun, like we think of the solar sun in the sky, like a celestial body, right? The black sun is just the material terminology that was given to this cosmic entity, and that name has been given to it for thousands of generations, for as long as we know, and we still use the same terminology today. It's just the best thing that we have, the black sun. Secondly, we need to comprehend where the black sun would be placed on the EMF wavelength spectrum. Okay, so in general, the electromagnetic spectrum is a continuous spectrum, right? The spectrum consists of low frequencies and then radio waves, and then you have the microwaves, the infrared, and then the human visible spectrum that contains the optical spectrum of the color dispersion that we can see with our eyes. And then comes the higher levels, the ultraviolet rays, the X-rays, and then the Y-rays, which are the gamma rays. And then I believe that there's an even higher spectrum level that is never talked about or put on the spectrum chart, which is the etherionic waves, which would hold the highest of any type of frequency wave that we know of. So for this video, we will call the black sun energy the cosmic rays, which is the aether wavelengths that contain the aetherons, the most rapidly moving frequencies in existence. Okay, so from the full range of cosmic frequencies, X-rays, gamma rays, and cosmic rays, they are bent and separated like a prism splits light. So when they meet the ionosphere at the top of the etheric field, these powerful energies become focused and they leave their imprints in the sky, forming the sun and the moon and the luminaries. The moon is the concentrated image of the X-ray part of the spectrum, like the XX chromosomes, symbolizing the feminine energy, showing us the energetic reflection of Earth's plane. And then the sun, on the other hand, is created from the more intense frequencies called the Y rays, the gamma rays, which is kind of like the X and Y chromosomes, representing the masculine energy. Okay, so then the black sun is not a visible body in the sky or in space, but rather it's a hypercentric, transcendental, metaphysical, supermassive implosion point of infinite energy, and it has zero physical magnitude. It resides within counter space, the center dimensionless field that is made up of the aetherons, pure centripetal implosive force. So at the heart of this existence is the dielectric field, the center of counter space, that non-spatial, non-temporal domain that it's not physical, and it doesn't have time or space like we know it. From that hidden center, our three-dimensional spatial world comes into being. What we see and touch is just a visible expression of something deeper and invisible. So the black sun, the aether, the toroidal field, free energy, and the firmament are all not different things, but they are all one and the same thing. These are just different names that people use to describe the same invisible force from a different point of view. And that's kind of like the direction I'm trying to implement here in this video. So long ago, scientists called this invisible force the luminiferous ether. They believed it filled all of space and allowed light and energy to move, not as tiny particles, but as waves in a very thin and smooth kind of substance. Okay, so unlike the sun that we see in the sky, the black sun cannot be observed directly. It is the hidden origin of all energetic and material phenomena, which is an omnipresent substrate that permeates all of space, but yet it has no classification within any known physical category. So this unified field, this self-contained and self-generating field, manifests as the toroidal structure of the firmament, through which all luminary motions, electromagnetic patterns, and life-generating forces arise from. It is the one essence that is expressed in manifold form, be it as a dome, a field, a current, or a celestial geometry, yet it is always pointing back to the same primordial source. So to understand how a hole and a mountain can occupy the same place, we must first step beyond conventional material thinking and recognize the transcendental nature of the black sun as both a metaphysical implosion point and a geophysical projection. The black sun is not a star in the sky, nor it is a physical object, but yet again, it is a hypercentric metaphysical implosive force, a point of infinite energy and zero magnitude that is nestled within counterspace, the non-spatial, non-temporal center of all existence. It is made of aetherons, which are the most concentrated and rapidly active frequencies in the electromagnetic spectrum, far beyond the gamma rays. These are not physical energies in the Newtonian sense, but they are centripetal dielectric implosions, the interpulling forces of the universe, immense multitude of infinitesimal vortices. Infinitesimal means very, very extremely small. Okay, so the black sun or the black hole sun functions like a 0 point, a point of infinite inwardness or energetic collapse. It is not seen, but it is felt and expressed through its field effects and mechanics, such as the toroidal currents of the firmament through the analemma, with the shifting rising points of the sun and the moon as they fluctuate in a sinusoidal manner throughout the year on the ecliptic, because they are lunar and solar refractions of this deeper energetic implosive energy. Okay, so now the black rock, often spoken of as a mountain or a central point on the surface of Earth, is the externalized physical expression of this non-physical center. It's not the black sun itself, but its material convergence, like a shadow casted into form. It is the mountain above the vortex, the manifestation of the invisible whole. So in other words, it is the anchoring peak of the dielectric implosion field that extends inward infinitely. What appears solid is simply where the field densifies into physical form. So just like a whirlpool has both a visible vortex above and a deep unseen pull below, the black rock and the black sun are two aspects of the same field dynamic. The rock is the mountain and the sun is the whole. One is centripetal, the other is the centripetal made manifest. They do not contradict. They complete each other in a dielectric polarity. They complement each other. Form and formlessness, appearance and source, projection and implosion. So yes, a hole and a mountain can exist in the same place, not because they are made of the same matter, but because they are different expressions of the same field. The black sun's implosion above and below converging through the ether into the world that we perceive. So we find reoccurring portrayals of a central world tree in ancient cosmology. This tree is always positioned at the axis mundi, the cosmic center. It serves not as a poetic metaphor, but as an encoded cosmogram, a symbolic rendering of what we now understand as the dielectric magnetic implosive torus field, centered around the black hole sun and expressed physically as the black rock. So the world tree stands rooted in the abyss and flowering into the heavens. This vertical polarity mirrors the dielectric field's centripetal and centrifugal motion, the same field dynamics through which the black sun gives rise to visible matter and motion. So the roots descend into what we might call the lower counter space where the black sun sits at, and the branches of the tree stretches out like a chandelier into the manifested world, the sensory realm, corresponding with the arches of the firmament and the heavenly circuits of the luminaries. Okay, so at the heart of the cosmos is the black hole sun, the invisible source, the centripetal discharge 0 point. It is the primordial womb from which all form and force emerges from, a non-spatial, non-temporal implosion point at the center of counterspace. And then emerging from this unseen core is the black rock, a centrifugal crystallization or a material condensation that is manifesting as the sacred central mountain found in countless ancient traditions. Mount Meru, Mount Zion, Mount Olympus, etc., etc., so on and so forth. This axial mountain is not separate from the black hole sun, but rather it's an externalized projection, the trunk of the vortex where energy becomes matter. Bridging these two is the world tree, the vertical axis mundi, represented in nature by the dielectric longitudinal channel of the toroidal field. It unites the heavenly, terrestrial, and the abyss realms in a singular fashion, mirroring the toroidal flow of magnetic and dielectric forces where the unseen implosion meets the seen expansion. So in the ancient accounts, Mount Meru is described as the world axis, the immovable central pillar, around which all celestial bodies revolve around. So esoteric traditions place it at the geographic central Arctic North. And the French writer René Dumas, in his unfinished 1952 novel, Mount Analog, he imagined it as a real but an invisible mountain, a threshold to the door of the invisible. And so his characters in the book speculated that its material composition was so extraordinarily dense that it bent light completely around itself, rendering it optically absent. So while Dumas presented this as a fiction novel, modern rediscoveries of ancient etheric sciences suggest that such phenomena is actually real and plausible within the framework of the geocentric toroidal model, like how we talk about on the channel here. So if the substrata of Mount Meru were composed of matter exhibiting extreme refractive lensing properties, such as an ultra-dense arrangement of aetheron compacted crystalline oxygen, it could induce total light curvature. This bending of light would be a local manifestation of a much larger multi-dimensional curvature effect, the natural warping of both space and counterspace that is caused by the dielectric and the magnetic pressures within Earth's toroidal field. At the central axis, the spine of the hyperbolic convergence, the counterspatial pole meets the extended field, producing a layered, nested curvature that bends not only photons, but the very pathways of energy vectors. So in this model, the black sun that is located at the counterspatial core beneath the North Pole, it emits ultra-high frequency gamma and cosmic rays carried by superluminal aetherons. And as these energies ascend through the central vortex, they pass through different levels. They pass through varying magnetic permeability gradients, cooling and phase transforming elemental oxygen from etherically charged plasma to liquid O2, liquid oxygen, and then finally transforming into solid antiferromagnetic crystalline oxygen. And this layered structure forms the firmamental dome above, but it also extends downward into the central column that is surrounding Mount Meru, creating a vertically continuous field envelope. And the result is this multi-dimensional curvature. The upper extremity levels curves light downward from Polaris into the Earth field, while the central axis of Mount Meru curves all incoming radiation and matter streams inward toward counterspace. Therefore, Mount Meru acts as both a physical and an energetic door of the invisible, not merely a mountain of stone, but the dielectric heart of Earth's cosmic breathing, hidden within the implosive convergence of the entire toroidal field, representing our entire cosmos.